Wow. I think I could do with a little shorter lead-in. What do you guys think? In the background, that laugh you heard was my guest for the evening, ZeroFossilFuel. He's going to join me in just a moment here. Now, of course, any of you rich guys out there, you know, you've pulled all your money out of those banks in Cyprus, right? So you're going to be okay, right? Right? Frankly, if you've still at this point got money in a bank, shame on you. Well, it is Monday the 18th of March. Managed to get through the Ides of March without any major false flags. Nothing seemed to blow up or fall down anywhere. There were no mass murders that I'm aware of. Frankly, the only thing that came down was this news about, you know, they're gonna give everybody who's got a deposit in the banks in Cyprus, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 15% haircut. You know, I've heard a lot of different numbers. I've heard it goes from a low of about 9.9% to a high of about 15.5%. That's kind of wild, isn't it? I mean, you think about a savings account or a checking account, and you figure, hey, you know, that's personal property.
That's your money.
I have trusted this bank with my personal property. Now, I know they're going to use my money while it's in their hands. You know, they're going to use my money to make some money. And that's okay. That's part of the business. You know, it goes with the territory. So, you know, it doesn't bother me much. But, you know, that's my money. I worked for it. I earned it. And now somebody comes along and tells me they're going to just take 10% of it or 15% of it or whatever helping of it they think they're entitled to. Isn't that precious? Aren't you just a little pissed off yet? Why not? In any case, tonight on the agenda, I'm going to have a very popular YouTube publisher, a fellow who goes by the handle ZeroFossilFuel on YouTube. Has published numerous videos, works on a number of alternative energy projects. Now, just leading into the show, you know, he was bragging about how, you know, one little chunk of 2x4 was going to heat his secret underground facility for the rest of the night, you know, because he made this fancy rocket stove that he's real proud of. Yeah. I'm going to have to put that SOB on mute. Keep it. You know, sometimes, you know, you play with these projects and you get really proud of them, and you know, you just have too darn much fun. But without any further ado, you know, we did try a video connection with ZeroFossilFuel a little bit earlier, but when we tried his video connection, audio kind of went a little crazy on us. I think at some point or another he's going to have to get a hard wire leading from where his internet enters his dwelling down to his secret underground laboratory, so that he won't be using Wi-Fi. I think Wi-Fi is probably his problem. But in any case, ZeroFossilFuel, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing well, thank you. And I would have to take issue with you on the Wi-Fi being the ultimate problem here, because I can tell you for a fact that if I am booted into my Linux partition and I am broadcasting with Skype for Linux, I do not have this problem with simultaneous video and audio that I do when I am in Windows.
Ah, so you think it's all Bill Gates' fault, huh?
Well, I don't think it helps any.
Well, you know, it could very well be. You know, it could be the Wi-Fi drivers associated with Windows. You know, it's always a possibility. In any case, ZeroFossilFuel, you're luxuriating in your secret underground facility using your fancy rocket stove to heat it. Now, you know that you've had it in there for about a month now, haven't you?
Actually, probably closer to 6 weeks now.
Yeah, and so far, I mean, you've been living with this thing long enough at this point that you should have a pretty good impression as to, you know, whether that particular build was a success or failure. What do you think?
It was an undeniable 110% success. the when I cleaned out the stove, for those of you who follow my YouTube channel and those of you who don't, and you have not seen my last video of the 6-video series on the rocket stove, after about 4 weeks, I take the top off of the rocket stove and I do a complete clean out and inspection of the inside of the rocket stove, and the cleanliness inside and the absence of ash buildup that I was expecting to find was just unbelievable.
Now, I thought for sure you'd run into some like creosote buildup, like you get with a chimney. No buildup of any creosote or residue of that type.
The only creosote, the only black buildup that I got was on the outside of the 8-inch galvanized riser inside the tank, and it was a very, very thin layer. Any place else, it was completely burned off inside the rocket stove.
So bottom line is this rocket stove has turned out to be one of your more successful projects. You would definitely count that on the list of ones that other people who might have a need should definitely look into.
Oh yeah, huge success. Very happy with it. I will be heating the workshop from now on with it, but I do have to laugh at one thing. Somebody asked me in my Ustream chat room the other evening, how much money have you saved so far this season? And I thought about it, and you know, factoring the price of kerosene and how often I was running my kerosene heater, so far this season I've probably saved about $50.
But now the stove cost you a couple, $200 or $300 to put together, didn't it? I mean, let's fess up. Let's be let's give the good with the bad, and you put a couple $100 in materials, plus at least 60-80 man hours in assembly time, maybe even a little bit more.
So well, it wasn't all just assembly time. See, a lot of it was design on the fly because I really had no set plans to go by.
Yeah. Each one of these things, everybody seems to take a design and build one to suit an individual requirement, which of course is what you did. But now the basic principles of a rocket stove are pretty well known, and somebody who might be interested in pursuing this for their own use, they can get help and direction out there, right? If I remember correctly, you were even offering to give plans away for free, and I think you were asking for modest donations, but you know, the plans are out there if people look, right?
The plans are posted at http://alt-nrg.org. It's right on the front page. That's http://alt-nrg.org, and I've posted a SolidWorks model that was created for me by one of my YouTube followers, a brilliant 3-dimensional SolidWorks model that you can download the SolidWorks diagram player for Windows for free from the SolidWorks website, and you can view my rocket stove in 3-dimension, turn it, spin it, disassemble it, you know, look at each individual piece, see the measurements of each piece. It's a brilliant diagram. I have my own sketch with the actual measurements and all of the critical dimensions. I discuss exactly what the ratios are that are necessary to go about building the rocket stove, and much of that was pulled from some of the knowledge that has been amassed on the rocket stove and what works and what doesn't. And for the most part, the traditional heritage rocket stove works as described. So I would not deviate too far from the design parameters that you find published at some of the permaculture forums, as well as you know, some other websites where guys have been building a lot of rocket stoves. Now, some people have embellished a lot, but you know, for the most part, the design works.
Alrighty, and on that note, we are going to have to take a short break for some very important, blatantly commercial announcements. Folks, we'll be back with Zero Fossil Fuel after these commercials. Please stand by. And we're back from our first break of the evening with Zero Fossil Fuel. Now, Zero, as you mentioned as we went into the break, we don't want to spend all night bragging about this darn new toy of yours. And I can understand why you're enthusiastic about it, but what we're talking about here is we're talking about a home-built project called a rocket stove that Z put together, and you can check his YouTube channel. He's ZeroFossilFuel on YouTube. He did a real nice job of documenting the build in video. So anybody who has no idea what the hell a rocket stove is or why they should be the least bit concerned with one might want to cruise on over to YouTube, look up ZeroFossilFuel, and look over his shoulder while he put this thing together. But now, say I'm lazy and I just want to go out to Home Depot or Lowe's and I just want to get myself a commercial Franklin stove or something like that. I mean, that's easy. I just go buy it. I put it in. I get my chimney set up, and I got me a wood stove. Why should I go to the additional time, trouble, and aggravation of building one of these custom rocket stoves, Zero? What's the argument on that? Why should I bother with it?
Well, your traditional wood burning stove, and you're right, I don't want to spend the rest of the evening talking about the rocket stove because there quite frankly are other things to talk about. But the benefit of a rocket stove, and what really turned me on to it when somebody suggested, when I started talking about renovating the workshop and putting together a heat source, someone just in the chat room or on my YouTube channel left a comment and said, you should look at this thing called the rocket stove. And I had never heard of a rocket stove before. I did a little bit of research, scoured some of the forums, read some of the performance reports, and said, gee, this looks like a fun little project. But what really made the decision was the efficiency of a rocket stove and the cleanliness of the burn. The one thing that most people will never believe until they see it for themselves is the way a rocket stove burns and the nice sound that it makes, but not beyond that, it burns so completely and so hot that it completely consumes the wood, leaving very, very little ash behind. And when you completely consume the wood that way, and you are able to extract, because of the unique design of the rocket stove, you're able to extract 90–95% of the heat that would normally go up the flue of a traditional wood stove just to keep the wood stove going. All right, the rocket stove has a riser inside of a barrel, and the heat rises through the center of this stack, which is called the riser inside the barrel, and all of the draft necessary to operate the stove is created right there inside the barrel. Once it exits the top of the riser inside the barrel, from there you can extract all of the heat from the flue gases. So before the gases exit the building, a typical rocket stove mass heater, where the flue also runs through a large thermal mass of rock and gravel and dirt to store the heat before it passes out, oftentimes you can see exhaust gas temperatures in the area of 120 to 140 degrees, whereas a traditional wood stove will be several hundred degrees, bring in enormous amounts of cold air through cracks and crevices of a house, and it's kind of running on a treadmill, if you will. It just does not work as efficiently as a rocket stove. A rocket stove, for the amount of heat that I get out of this rocket stove compared to a traditional wood stove, I will burn at worst 1/5 the amount of wood that it would take to keep this workshop hot as a traditional wood stove, and at best probably about 1/10. So if you think about that in terms of the expense of what you would pay to buy cords and cords of wood, all right, if you bought 5 cords of wood in a heating season, but you put in a rocket stove and were able to heat your house for less than a cord of wood, half a cord to maybe 3/4 of a cord of wood, that would be a very significant savings. So not only does it save you money in the long run operating the stove, but it also pollutes less, smells less, doesn't smoke up the neighborhood. Most people can't hardly even smell the odor of burning wood at the exhaust of a rocket stove. So there's my executive summary.
We weren't going to talk a whole lot about the wood stove. We wound up burning up this entire segment. So that's how efficient your rocket stove is. Yeah, they're gonna blow a commercial at us in 30 seconds. So real quick, get your arguments on the table, and after we come back from the break, we'll flesh them out. But you said you had a few things you wanted to rant about tonight. Why don't you go ahead and set it up? And we're going to go out for a break in about 20 seconds.
Well, the project that I promised all of my viewers that I would resume after the rocket stove project was the Muller motor. And I am full swing right now in building the Muller motor. And a video was shown by a gentleman named Sky Collection with a coil that he designed, or not that he designed, but he adapted a Tesla pancake coil to a particular type of coil that he built, and showed that he could produce energy without any of the mechanical drag effects, which is otherwise known as the lens effect of a typical generator motor. So right now I'm in the process of working on that, and in the process of leaving a comment on Sky Collection's YouTube channel, somebody responded to one of the comments that I left, and it is one of my arch nemesises, if that's a word, WITS Ministries. I published a video back in 2009. It is my video number 228, entitled Nitwits. And I have a serious issue with these folks, and I would love to discuss it a little bit further after the break.
I'm a little surprised they haven't already... there it is. Okay, yeah. I was expecting it about 30 seconds ago, but we will be taking our second break for the evening right now, and I want to mention to folks we may take some phone calls from viewers at 877-342-6673 during this next half of the show. We'll be back right after these messages. Alrighty, and we are back from the second break of the evening, and I do want to give that toll-free number one more time. It's 877-342-6673, just in case there's somebody out there who might have a question or comment they might like to throw our way. But Zero, just before we left for the break, you set up your rant for the evening. You had a couple of items on your punch list, so I think I'll just go ahead and let you go off, man. You sounds like you're pretty hot on at least one item.
Fired up.
You getting all fired up? You say you're hotter than that rocket stove, huh?
Yeah, something like that. Before I do that, I just want to thank the Rinse Radio Network for at least not opening up and leading into our segment of the show this evening with rap music. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate that. So many of us hate rap. I just want to say thank you. And with that, I will.
Well, I think that's the primary host. I think he's the one who chooses the bumper music at Charlie McGrath. And you got to remember, Zero. He's probably about 20 years, maybe 30 years younger than us. And,
I understand that.
I think to him that actually sounds like music. To me, it kind of sounds like Cats in Heat. But what can I say? People's taste in music is very personal.
Yeah, everyone's a critic too, right?
Everybody's a critic too. That's right.
That's right. So anyway, this coil that Sky Collection put together and tested and did a video on YouTube. The reason that it's important is because if you can create an electromagnet or a coil that you can place in the field of a moving magnet that does not place a physical drag on the magnet. When you create a traditional electric generator, it requires work to turn that generator to produce power. So if you take power from that generator, the more power you take from the generator, the more power is required going in. Anybody who owns a gasoline-powered generator for their home who has ever used it knows that as soon as the refrigerator comes on, or as soon as they turn on a microwave oven or an electric range top, or their hot water heater comes on while the electric generator is running, they'll hear that motor go, "Whoa!" because that motor is working much harder when you're drawing power from the generator. And the reason for that is an effect called the lens effect, where when you place a load on a generator with a magnetic coil in the field of a moving magnet, it places a physical load on that moving magnet. If you can create a coil that negates the physical drag on the moving magnet, you essentially have more energy coming out than what you had going in. Or you are at least extracting that energy from a different source. And using the magnets only as an exciter to extract the energy from the ambient. And this is what Sky Collection seems to have demonstrated with his pancake coil or adaptation of the Nikola Tesla bifiller pancake coil. He took 6 or 8 of these pancake coils and stacked them together and epoxied them into one single unit and demonstrated powering up a fairly powerful LED lamp with this magnetic coil in the presence of a free spinning magnet that appeared not to present any mechanical load to the spinning magnet. Very, very important, because if you can do that, then you can create a whole generator that you could spin with a conventional motor and get much more power out than it took to spin the motor to bring this whole thing up to speed.
Yeah, but doesn't that kind of defy our understanding of magnetism? Because the lens effect is described as kind of a well-known phenomena that just part of the deal. How could this possibly be overcoming what some would consider one of the laws of nature that cannot be beaten?
No. Laws of physics, not laws of nature. And in physics, it's not laws, it's theory. Laws are meant to be broken. And
particularly if you're a bank.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. But in this case, what we're the phenomenon that is being observed is that the energy is not actually coming from the physical movement of the magnetic fields in the coil. The energy is actually being extracted. The problem is, when most people think of a generator, they think of a closed system. They say, okay, we have this mechanical device that is spinning a widget, and that widget is producing electricity. Okay, that's fine. That's a closed system. There's no outside energy flowing into that system. But in the type of system that we're describing, we're only using the magnetic field to excite the energy flow coming into the system from outside. And that's the only way I can describe it as being, the tapping of a source of energy that has as yet been untapped. And I believe there are numerous ways of doing it, but this just happens to be one that can be easily replicated and demonstrated, I hope, which is exactly what I'm doing as I speak right now. I'm in the process of soldering one of my pancake coils together.
And of course, being one to try to hold experimenters' feet to the fire and set them up on the schedule for an appearance on my Thursday presentation.
Yeah.
How far from being demonstrable is this gadget at this point? How soon before we might actually see it spin, whiz, and whir?
At the rate that I'm going, I should have it spinning tomorrow night or the night after. So, I could do it if you have nobody else on the schedule.
Well, Tommy Reed was supposed to be my guest this Thursday, and he has bowed out on me. So you might actually be able to put a webcam on. Well, that puts another project on you. You're going to have to run a hard wire to send video. Either that or switch to Linux, one of the two.
No, I can just boot up in Linux and not run multiple webcams. The only reason I use it in Windows is because I can use Webcam Max and broadcast picture-in-picture multiple angles at the same time, and it's kind of fun. But
yeah,
it's not necessary. So anyway, where I was going with my rant is, this whole thing that Sky Collection did, and piqued my interest. I asked a question about how the thing worked, and one of the responses came from the spokesperson for WITS Ministries, and I don't want to draw too much attention to them because I don't want to be driving people to their website to listen or read any of that crap that they've got there. But the thing that they said was, oh, we've been sharing this information on how to do this type of generator for many, many years, and sharing this information for free. That is the biggest load of crap I have ever read. Okay, they share nothing for free. They share everything.
Right. Now, Zero, before steam starts coming out of your ears, you've only got about 30 seconds. Do you want to save the balance of this rant until after this next commercial break? We've got a long segment after the next break.
Yeah, okay.
Take a deep breath, but bottom line is, okay, this type of coil and type of collector that Sky Collection has demonstrated that you're now pursuing, WITS is claiming that they invented it and they've been sharing it for free forever.
Oh, we've been doing this. We've been sharing this for free forever. Well, let me tell you, folks, they haven't been sharing it for free.
Well, Zero, you're going to have to tell us right after we return from this break, folks. Do stand by until Zero cools off a little bit, and we'll try to get him heated up again right after these commercial messages. And we are beginning our last segment tonight with Zero Fossil Fuel. Now, Zero, you were really starting to get stoked as we headed out on the break, talking about some outfit called WITS Ministry, and I had to interrupt you because those darn commercials are what pays to get this thing out there. So I'm kind of hoping that you have not lost your thermal coefficient and are still pretty heated up and can continue that argument. What do you think? Are you still there?
Trust me on this.
Anyway, give us the lowdown on this WITS Ministry and why we should be somewhat skeptical about any claims coming out of that quarter.
Well, first of all, let me say that with the advent of this this discovery that was demonstrated by Sky Collection, it opens up the possibility that what WITS Ministries has actually is a viable technology. If that's true, that only makes it even more criminal that they're not sharing it like they say they want to, and it is completely contrary to their actions are completely contrary to their words. So let me give you an example. I asked them back in 2009. I said, I saw this video that you published, and I think this is a really great technology, and it doesn't look like you guys are getting enough attention. I would like to help you. Please tell me more about your designs. They replied to me, hey, brother Zero, and they were all friendly, and they said, let me see if I can paraphrase this. They said, if there's comments that you'd like to make, we'd be happy to review them and let you post them on our website. And I was like, listen, just tell me what it is you're doing so that I can show others. I mean, you say that you want to share this information with others, but you don't share any of the information openly on the website. Well, how do I get this information? They said, oh, pray and do as God directs you to donate and help us to build these devices and bring them to mankind. So the bottom line of that was they want to be the ones to be building these things and bringing them to mankind. Well, they've been running this particular scam for quite some time now, and according to some, this WITS Ministries as an organization has been around for 150 years. One of the claims is that Tesla and Morey and Faraday and Hendershot were all members of this, and I don't mean you, we're all members of this ministry, and they defend the actions of the ministry and whatnot. But the bottom line is they won't even talk to you on the telephone unless you donate a minimum of $200. $300. I'm sorry, the price has gone up. In 2009, it was $200. Today, it's $300 to speak with them on the phone, and you still don't get anything close to the plans or even the ability to view the technology working. God only knows how much they're going to ask you to donate before they will allow you to even see the plans that they claim work. Now,
so bottom line is they may indeed have a technology that works, but in your personal experience, since how long has it been since they've had this thing, and we've yet to see them at like I like to say, on the end cap at Walmart.
Right, exactly. And if you really do have this technology, damn it, get it out there. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, the world could use something like that, and if it was sitting on the end cap at Walmart and I could buy one for a reasonable price, I'd already had it.
And I replied to them. I said, you say that you want to give this information out, and yet you're not giving us the information. And they called me a liar and a cheat and a thief. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I'm not asking for a dime. I share everything that I build on the web open source for free, and they're calling me a liar and a cheat and a thief. Sounds like the kettle calling the pot black, or the pot calling the kettle black, or whatever that saying is. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and this seems to be a recurring thing with many of these alternative energy. Shall I even use the word products?
Right.
They seem to wrap it. They seem to wrap it in religious zeal, and then their quest to better mankind seems to have a price tag associated.
Right, and when they come to demonstrate it and it doesn't work, they'll say, "Oh well, the spirit wasn't right. There were too many negative vibrations."
Yeah, negative vibes. I love it.
Yeah.
We have seen that on more than one occasion.
So, bottom line is, do they have a technology? Possibly. If they do, that even makes them greater criminals than what I believe that they really are, and most likely they do not have a working technology, because if they had, they would share it. And what I said to them was, if I discover what makes a device that you claim work, if I discover it, I will publish it, and you will become a distant and unpleasant memory that you will be soon forgotten. And I certainly hope that comes to fruition, because I am so sick and tired of these people coming to the public and siphoning money from the public for the promise of removing the shackles that are placed upon them, the economic shackles of the amount to pay for energy, to heat their homes, to run their cars, to produce light. Okay, it would all end in an instant if we can get this information. Just find out if something like this works. And if it does, publish it right away. In fact, I'm publishing it as I build it. And if I succeed, then everyone will know about it. There's no hiding. I'm talking about it as I build it. And if you want to see me build it, just go to ustream.tv/user/ZeroFossilFuel, or ustream.tv/zero-labs. And that will be my live channel where I broadcast regularly as I build. And the YouTube videos that I publish are at youtube.com/ZeroFossilFuel, all one word. And you'll see all the videos that I've produced on everything that I've ever built, and shared openly with everyone.
Now, tell me about this interesting coil that you think just might have a shot of beaten Len's law. Is it first of all, is it a bifilar wind, or is it just a straight wind? And you say you have multiple coils stacked together. Do you wire them together in series or parallel?
They're wired in series.
Okay.
But they are stacked in parallel.
Okay.
And essentially, if anybody wants to look up the Nikola Tesla bifiller pancake, just look for those 4 words on Google and look at the images that come up and read some of the patents. You'll see how to create one of these pancake coils. They're a little tricky to wind with this solid enameled wire that I'm using, but I've created a special jig that I use to wind these and glue them together to hold them in the pancake shape.
Now, is it an air core, or are you using some kind of a core in it?
Well, the traditional pancake coil is air core. The one that Sky Collection demonstrated is an air core. There is the potential to slip a ferrite core through the opening of the center of this thing to test to see if it would increase or decrease the performance. So I plan to do quite a few tests with these if I see any form of promising results at all.
Very interesting, and you think you might actually be able to show us your prototype spinning and making all kinds of funny noises as soon as this Thursday?
Well, for anyone who has ever followed my YouTube channel, if you look at my very first video that I ever produced on YouTube, which still today is by far the single most viewed video I have ever produced on YouTube, despite the horrible audio and video quality of this thing, because I filmed it with a Motorola Razr cell phone back in the day when smartphones were just somebody's idea.
Hey, I still use a Razr.
Well, you know,
I don't want a phone that's smarter than I am.
Yeah. And I had to actually hack that Razr so that it would record more than 15 seconds of video at a time, and the quality is horrible, the audio is horrible, but what I present in the video is just imagination capturing. You know, it stimulates the imagination of people when they see what it is that I thought I had. And I still have that fixture. And with that fixture on a bearing, I can just reassemble any kind of magnets in that circular tray that I want and just give it a flick with my finger and put this coil in the presence of it. And if it works as advertised, it will not cause that spinning array of magnets to slow down very much at all and still give me an amount of power on the output. So yeah, I will have something that I can show on Thursday night.
Now, of course, you've still got to overcome the friction of the spinning axle. You know, I mean, there are still forces that are going to have to be overcome. But Lenz's law is a major impediment to making a device like this produce more energy than what's consumed in its operation.
No. It is the fundamental impediment. It is the primary wall that you have to break through.
All right, we are coming up dangerously close to the time when they're going to take the hook and drag us off the stage. So, Zero, you got about 30 seconds to tell everybody what your website is and make any blatant self-promotion that you'd like to make. Okay.
I try to make the website address as easy to remember as possible. It is an abbreviation of Alternate Energy, and it is alt-nrg.org. From there, you can navigate to my YouTube channel, you can navigate to my Ustream feed, and you can check out all of the plans and schematics that I've posted there for free. Please visit my website.
Alrighty, Zero Fossil Fuel, thank you very much for being my guest tonight on the Alternative Energy Hour. Really do appreciate it. You have a good evening, sir.
Thank you. And
to the live audience, please do stay tuned until after these commercial announcements. Charlie McGrath will be along with his guest, Liam Sheff, right after these important commercial announcements.